So we're going to start 29A by Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. So let me just go over that. The Mishnah said that if a cherem is given to the kohen, cherem is some sort of consecrated property. If it's given to the kohen, then it can never be redeemed. What about if it's stam cherem? If the person that gave this didn't specify if it's for the kohenim or for the bedek habayis. So what is it? It's machlekes Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira and the Chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says it's bedek habayis. If you want to remember that, ben Beseira is bedek habayis with two B's, and the Chachamim say that it goes to the kohenim. Chachamim. Okay. And they each have a pasuk, and we'll get into that in the Gemara, what they each do for the other one's pasuk. And it was sort of explained, one side of it. The other side wasn't. The pasuk for Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira was that it belongs to Hashem. It's bedek habayis, belongs to the temple. It says kol chayim kodesh kadashim hu Hashem. There's a pasuk there. The pasuk for the Chachamim that it belongs to the kohenim, if a person doesn't specify who he's giving it to, it says kistei acherim lakoyin tiachuzasei. So the Mishnah actually explained. Well, what do the Chachamim do with kol cherem kodesh kadashim hu Hashem? A special halacha that if someone has a sacrifice that's kodesh kadashim, he makes it into a cherem, so he does have to give something to the kohen, something to the kohenim. The value of what a person would want to give a korban that he wasn't obligated in. It's like that teves hanas sort of thing. So that's the value of what he's pledging. We didn't go back and explain what Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira does with the pasuk of kistei hacherem lakayin tiachuzasei. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says it belongs to Hashem, belongs to the temple. But the Chachamim have a pasuk that says it goes to the kohenim. It's like a stei achuzah. The Mishnah only went one way here, and it didn't go back and explain the other way. So it says like this. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira mistam charam lebedek habayis. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the top. You see the two dots there. That tells you it's a new piece. He says that a stam cherem is bedek habayis. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira is bedek habayis. Bishlem rabbanon. We understand the rabbis, what they're doing. They explain their own reason. What is their own reason? They have a pasuk, kistei hacherem, kistei hachem lakayin tiachuzasei. That it's like kistei achuzah belongs to the kayin, and we understand. V'taimad Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. The Chachamim not only explain their own pasuk, they also explain the pasuk of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, that of kodesh kadashim laHashem, that you can make a sacrifice also cherem. El Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira hay kistei hacherem hayavad lei. What does Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira do with the pasuk of the Rabbanan? Kistei hacherem lakayin tiachuzasei. It sounds like that pasuk tells me that a stam cherem belongs to kohenim. That's not true according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. He's going to have to use that pasuk to tell me something. The Gemara explains me by leila kedetanya. It's needed, as was taught in the Bais. Kistei hacherem lakayin tiachuzasei. The Bais itself explains the pasuk. Like a stei hacherem, to the kohen it should be his inheritance. Ma Talmud Laimar, what is that pasuk telling me? It's mamish exactly what we need to hear. The Bais is explaining this pasuk. Minayin, it's coming to tell me, from where do we know? La kohen shektish stei charmai, a kohen that had a stei hacherem. That means someone designated a field for kohenim. The kohen goes along, kohen that got it. Why did he get it? He was probably working in the temple during that week. And he sanctifies that field. So what happens when you sanctify a field? You have until Yovel to redeem it. If you don't redeem it, it goes, if it's a stei achuzah, then it goes to the kohenim afterwards. So here you have a kohen that sanctified the field. Meanwhile, he didn't give it to the temple yet. He's still living in it. So, he can't say, well, when Yovel's going to come, it's going to go to the kohenim. And it's already in my hands, so I'm just going to keep it. Because he's a kohen. So, vidinhu, And he has even like a great logic for this. Vidinu means, and it's logical. If it would be someone else's field, I'd be able to get it because it goes to Kainim by Yovel. If it's in my own field, I for sure should I not be able to get it? I for sure should be able to get it. Talmud Laimar, the pasuk says, that no, he can't get it. It goes to the Kainim because you have to split it equally amongst all the Kainim, like the way it would work with his De'achuzah, that those that were serving in the temple during that.
I'm surprised he doesn't say, I'm a shomer chinam for this field for them, and I'm just watching it until it's time for them.
So maybe that's what he means, and then when the Yovel comes, he says, look, I'm already in it. Now you want to get me out? Now you're
I'm
like a mitzi. Yeah.
So what happened? He was mocked to shit, and then he changed his mind and said, oh, I really want to keep it.
Yeah. Now, I wrote on the side while I was learning this morning, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira holds that a cherem goes to Bed Kabayas. Here we have a cherem that's going to the Kayanim. The Kayan is makdish, and he wants to keep it. We want to know, what does Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira do with the pasuk that says Kestei Achuza, that it's a Stei Achuza, that it belongs to the Kayanim. So the whole case didn't fit. And that's what I was learning this morning, but I just ignored that. Now, as I'm teaching it, I have the answer. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira only meant that it goes to the Kayanim, that it goes to Bed Kabayas, Menachem. If a person doesn't specify where it's going, but you can specify where it's going, and this field was a case where it was specified, and he got it. It was specified that it's going to the Kayanim. Then the Kayan was makdish it, and now he wants to get it back by the Yovel. So that's the. I never know when I write something on the side if I should now erase it or if I should add to it. What do we learn? What do we learn from the Stei Cherem? Here's what we're using the pasuk for. Meyata, from now, it was coming to teach, but it actually comes to learn. We're going to compare the Stei Cherem to the Stei Achuzah, and we're going to learn from the Stei Achuzah Shel Yisrael, an inheritance property of a regular person, a regular Yisrael. Just like a Stei Achuzah that's not redeemed by the Yovel, goes to the Kayanim, and it's divided by Kayanim. Also, a Stei Cherem is also going to be divided by Kayanim by Yovel if someone is makdish it. So that we learn from a Stei Achuzah. And that's the conclusion of what Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira is going to do with this pasuk. Where it says, what about the Chachamim? They use Stei Achuzah to tell me that a Stam Cherem goes to Kayanim. They don't have this whole liman. What if a Kayan sanctifies a Stei Cherem, and then he becomes a squatter on the property, and he wants to keep it after the Yovel? So the Idach Mecherem HaCherem. The pasuk says Kestei HaCherem. There's an extra hey. They learn from that this extra halacha. So now, if there's an extra hey, what does Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira do? The Idach Cherem HaCherem leMashmalei. He doesn't learn. He doesn't think that Cherem HaCherem is actually telling me anything. That extra hey, he doesn't learn from. The Gemara usually boils down a drasha to a very minute word, or something very small word, and then it says one of them learns from, thinks that that's significant, the other one doesn't, and that's how we resolve. What does this one do with that? What does that one do with this? We work it down until it's very small. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, the Chal al Kachim Kadashim al Kachim Kalaminale. How do we know that the Chachamim in the Mishnah use the pasuk of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira of Kol Cherem Kadosh Kadashim Ul Hashem, that they use that pasuk to tell me that if someone has an animal that's meant to be a karban, and he then turns it into a cherem, so there's a certain amount of pledge that comes along with that, even though it was a responsibility sort of pledge that he has over there. So there's a certain pledge that he still gives to the Kayanim. That's what the Chachamim used that Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira's pasuk for. How does Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira know that there is that sort of pledge that a person has, because that pasuk he uses to tell me that a stam cherem is to Hashem, not to Kayanim. He used that pasuk already. When he answers Savalak Rabbi Shmuel, he also Rabbi Shmuel. That we're going to get from the Mishnah. And the bottom of the page here, there's going to be a Mishnah where Rabbi Shmuel is going to say, it's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting when the Gemara does this, because it has like an expectation that we didn't get to. Maybe the expectation is because the Mishnayos would probably have all been learnt of the Perek. Yeah, we were lucky that our printer divided up the Mishnayos and put them in on per page. You know, he could have put the whole Masechta of Mishnayos in the front of it, and then we would have had to keep turning back. But they divided it up so that to make it easier for us. Okay. Amar Rav says halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Rav says the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. The Gemara asks right away, Rav Shavik Rabbanan Vavik Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Rav neglects the rabbis and he goes like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. There's the majority. The Gemara says Bais Ibchatanya. The Bais says the opposite. In other words, the Bais has the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira saying that it goes to Kayanim. So therefore, Rav is actually paskening like the Chachamim that says that it goes to Bedek Habayis, which is Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira of our Mishnah. So Rav says Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira means that Allah is like the Chachamim of the Bais. Gemara asks, so Shavik Masnisin Ravid Kebraisa? So Rav neglects the Mishnah and he follows the Braisa? We're not letting this go easy. It says Rav Masnisin Nami Ebchetani. Rav's Mishnah was also turned opposite. My chazis the Abchis Masnisin Mikami Braisa. Well, what the Gemara is saying is that Rav actually turned the opinions around in the Mishnah because he had the Braisa. So the Gemara asks, 1 second. He accepted the Braisa.
He turned the Mishnah for the Braisa. Why does
he turn the Mishnah? He turned the Braisa for the Mishnah. Napich Braisa become Masnisin. My answer is Rav Gamri Gomer. Rav had that in tradition. He wasn't turning it because he saw a Braisa. He had the tradition that was the correct way. Yihachi, if that's the case, still not letting go over here. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Why does he say the halach is like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira? If Rav's tradition was that was the Rabbanon. Rabbanan mila bin Eily. He should have said the Allah is like the Rabbanan, which that's Rav's opinion of who the Rabbanan are. The Rabbanan hold that it's Bedek Habayis. Stam cherem is Bedek. It's the Hachi Kamar. This is what it means. L'may daf chisu v'tanisu. The way that you turned it around and you learned it. It's a halachic Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Okay. Now we resolved this. Ahu Gavra. There was a person. The Pumpadisa. He made a cherem of his property in Pumpadisa. He lived in the city of Pumpadisa. That's in Babylonia. Okay. So Asal Akami to Rabbi Yehuda. He came to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is not Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, not Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eily, and not Rabbi Yehuda, the author of the Mishnah. The editor of the Mishnah. It's Rabbi Yehuda by Yecheskel from, actually over here it says Mipumpadisa. He's the famous student of Shmuel, he's a student of Rav. He's right over here. He's the founder of Pumpadisa. Comes to Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei, Rabbi Yehuda says, Shkol Arba Zuzi. Take 4 zuz, which is 4 dinar. It's a selah. Ba'achal alayu. And achal means to make chulin and redeem it. V'shadinu benara. Then throw it into the river. It'll be permissible for you. So in other words, he'll get his property back with just 4 zuz. It's a very small amount. Alma kasavar, he must hold stam charam lebedek habayis. How is he redeeming this? It must be hektish. Hektish you can redeem. If it's a gift to the kayan, you can't redeem it. Come on, who does he go like? Well, I know he's going like the way Rav Paskin, that the halacha is that it's stam cherem is bedek habayis. But he also goes kishmuel the amar hektish shava mana shechil al shava pruta mechulal. he's taking something very valuable, a property, and he's redeeming it for a very low price, just on one coin, right? Just on 4 zuz, he's redeeming this property. Shmuel holds that you can do that. Shmuel holds that you can take a large amount of sanctity and throw it onto a small amount of money, and everything gets redeemed. I only thought, I would have said that Shmuel only said this after the fact, that you can take a large area and redeem it on a small coin.
Why is it you can redeem it on a small coin?
Shmuel says that you can get the sanctity off even with a small redemption, because if its actual value isn't significant here, you can just do this exchange, property for item or something like that for a coin, even though it's much smaller.
As long as the Kohanim are willing to sell.
Yeah, not the Kohanim. Here it's Bedek Habayis. It's
So
hektish. For Kohanim, it's not going to work. The Gizbar. So the Gemara says, Lachatchila miyamar, but the Shmuel say, Lachatchila, you're allowed to go and do this? This is only after the fact, if you did this, that it worked, but not Lachatchila. The Gemara says, Hani mili bizman shebis hamikdash kaim, you're right. When the temple's around, you're not allowed to do this Lachatchila. They could say that because the temple's losing out. Avol bizman hazeh afil Lachatchila, but bizman hazeh, where there's no loss, because there is no temple. So even Lachatchila, you're allowed to go ahead and take the sanctity off on a small coin. Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, afila prutinami, why do you make him spend 196 or something prutas over here? How much is a dinar? No, a sell, it's much more. 700 something prutas. He could have 768 or something. He could have done with one pruta. It's one coin, right? Why do you make him spend this large, right? If you can do it on $1, why do you do $100? So Persumi Milsa, he wanted people to know what's happening here, that you're allowed to do this. So he wanted to use more money to make it more significant. Amar Ula.
What's the better kabayas? Bisman hazeh.
Yeah, so there is no actual Bedek Habayis. So therefore, you just have to make it, the property that you want to use, you need to redeem it from that sanctity. So you put it onto a coin. What do I do with that coin? That coin I have to throw into the river.
It's funny, we interpret Shimei Milsa that he wanted to publicize it. You can, if you stop and read it, you can say, Shimei Milsa, it was publicized. He didn't want to come off like such a cheapo, so he gave more money. But obviously it's not. But
he wanted to make a statement.
I understand.
To teach the halacha. We've had other cases like Rabbi, who was from Elizabeth, New Jersey, Rabbi Teitz. So people didn't know what bracha was on bananas. They thought it was eitz. He wanted to tell everyone that it's adama. So he used bananas for karpas by the Seder. So people should know that. And then they have the lights, not these, but the incandescent. So Reb Chaim Eiser would say Bari Mari Ha'esh he would turn the light on and it would say Bari Mari Ha'esh. 6 o'clock. Okay. Let me. I'll get to the post.
I'll wait till he gets up.
I'll get to the end and I'll call. Amarula. He wanted to show people that it was fire on Shabbos. People thought that electricity isn't really fire. So he would say Barimation, so people should learn that. So here he wanted to show that you can redeem something Bisman Hazeh on a small amount. But he didn't want it to be so small. He wanted people to recognize. Amar Ula Yavai Hasam. Ula says, if I was there, Havi Yehivna Kula Kayanim, I would have given it all to the Kayanim. He argues on Rav, obviously. Alma Kasav Ula Stam Charam La Kayanim. Ula must hold that Stam Cherem goes to Kayanim. Meisvei, there's a question. Ein Eved Ivri Noigel B'zman Sheyovel Noyeg. Eved Ivri only applies. You can only sell an Eved Ivri. What's a Jewish slave? Only while the Yovel is there. That means when all the Kayanim, when all the Jewish people are in the land of Israel. It says he works for you until Yovel. Stay achirim only applies when there's the yovel. It's a problem over here. That it says that by yovel he returns to his inheritance. And achuza, stay achirim is like an achuza. 6 o'clock. Okay, let me pause it over here and then I'll go back to that.